The next show is planned for April 9th, 2022. It's about 29 weeks to bring something really special to the stage. I'm very confident that that's going to happen. All right, we're back for another video. I apologize for the kind of weird attire. I am quite cold now all the time. So although I'm in the house, I got a toucan or a beanie, as some of you like to refer to this as, but here in Canada we call them toques. What can I start with? 9 weeks out tomorrow. Single digits. It's crazy how fast it's coming. I find the last couple weeks have been a pretty kind of rapid pace. You know, it felt like just yesterday it was 12 weeks out, which is a milestone in itself. And, you know, we're a week away from being 8 weeks out, which is another milestone, you know, 2 months away from the first show. It's coming quick. This week, update-wise, good, but challenging. You know, so I checked in on Mondays per usual, and we determined that, well, Cliff determined that depending on how this week goes, we might do a diet break next week. Which I don't 100% know what that entails from his perspective. You know, a diet break can be done in numerous different ways, but probably the most common would be just kind of a general increase in calories, probably more than likely from carbohydrates across the week, just to give the body a bit of a refresh and get into position where at the 8 week out mark we can step on the gas a little bit. Cliff noted that he's pretty happy with where things are at as far as you know, conditioning wise at this stage in the game. You know, he said maybe 2 or 3 more pounds and you could be quite competitive on stage. But we want to obviously leave something to remember. So we're probably gonna go beyond that and still get into those low 150s. I still think I'll see those low 150s by the time it's all said and done. But this week's been hard just from an energy perspective. By the end of most days, I'm pretty exhausted. Just, you know, very, very little in the tank. We didn't make any, you know, caloric changes, but again, you know, I've mentioned this before, regardless of where your calories are at, if you're in a deficit for an extended period of time, you're gonna feel it, right? So whether, you know, you're someone like myself who's eating 2,400 or someone that's eating 2,000 or 1,800 or 3,000, right? For that individual, that's still a deficit that's supporting the weight loss, the fat loss, and that deficit is gonna start to, you know, kind of compound itself over time and start to build that fatigue up. So I'm definitely feeling it for sure. And the shitty part is when it comes to prep, sleep becomes a bit of a challenge, which is, you know, the last couple nights I've had very, very poor sleep. Last night included. You know, I remember getting up a couple times just to go to the washroom. I saw like 12:30, and then I saw 3. I saw 5, and then like I get up at 6 to start my day, which is, you know, it's a little after 6 right now. Did some posing and stuff, and here we are. And you know, by probably 7 o'clock tonight, I'll be pretty bagged. But it's a refeed day, so we do get some extra food today, which is always good. But enough rambling. Let's talk about you know, the subject matter of the video, which I thought would be something cool to discuss, something cool to address, and it's things I'd tell my younger self. And this is a subject that's been done, you know, multiple times by people on YouTube and stuff like that. But I want to talk about things I'd tell my younger self when it comes to competing, because I started quite early, I think by a lot of people's standards, and I've been competing quite a bit since then. So a little bit of history for my people that don't know. I started competing in 2015, the fall of 2015. So I would have been 21 at the time. I tried to compete prior to that, but there was something that got in the way. I don't remember if I got, oh yeah, I think it was when I had my appendix out. I had my appendix out when I was younger. So I think I was actually gonna try to compete earlier in 2015, but I had my appendix out, so I could not. So fast forward to fall 2015, I did a UFE show. Maybe I'll put, if I move over here, maybe I can put some photos up. I did a UFE show, so they have kind of different categories, and I did their fitness model category. So you can see in the photo, it's kind of like classic physique trunks when it first started, but you do, you know, sort of men's physique-esque posing. So I was not confident enough to throw the bodybuilding trunks on at that point, but I gave that a shot, and I ended up coming second place. Then I met a guy by the name of Adam Wilkes at that show, and he said, your potential is really good. Why don't you crack at bodybuilding? And it turned out there was a 2 weeks later, there was an NGA show coming to Toronto. And they basically allowed free entry for anybody, or it was free or discounted entry for anybody that competed at the UFE show. So I was like, you know what, I'm in shape, why not? And Adam said that, you drop a couple more pounds, you might, you'll be pretty competitive as a bodybuilder, right? Just get that a little bit leaner. So that's what I did. And at the time I was self-coached. I didn't have any coaching, no structure. I just kind of based it off of, what education I had. I had a few people that I bounced questions and ideas off of, but at the time it was, I just kind of tracked my food with my Fitness Pal. So I was doing, I guess you could say if it fits your macros at the time, and cardio and obviously weight training and stuff. So from the 2 weeks between the two shows, I just dropped my calories a little bit, did a little bit more cardio, and sure enough, I dropped, I think, 2 or 3 pounds and ended up doing pretty well at that show. Then 2016, I competed again in the spring and the fall. Then 2017, I competed again in the spring. 2018, I was off. 2019, I competed again in the spring. And then, we're basically here now. I tried to compete in 2020, but obviously that didn't happen. So it's been a lot of competing. So one of the things that I would definitely tell my younger self is don't rush the process. And I think, at the time, I don't regret any of the decisions I made from a competing standpoint, but I think at the time I could have made a bit more progress in my earlier years. Once I got past the newbie gains from like teenager to like that 2021 mark, is not dieting so much, because obviously, for those competitions, you're losing body fat, you're in a deficit. And I spent, over the course of those, basically 2015, 2016, 2017, like 2.5 years, kind of somewhat yo-yo dieting, which I think definitely shot me in the foot from a muscle building standpoint and muscle retention standpoint, because the way I prepped at those times is not how I'm prepping now. And I think one of the biggest differences that I'm seeing in my physique now is the amount of muscle I've held on to throughout the diet versus the amount of muscle I probably lost when I dieted before. And that just comes down to the way I dieted, the amount of cardio I did, and just trying to get leaner without looking at the bigger picture, which at the end of the day is bringing as much muscle to the stage as possible. And recognizing that there's no quick fix to getting in shape for the stage. It's going to take time, and sometimes you need to give yourself a lot more time than you need, right? I can look at preps at the beginning and how much shorter they were than what I do now. And that comes back to the whole not rushing the process thing and committing to the time duration that you need, right? Because it's only going to give you a better outcome in the end. Number 2 that I got written down here is just simply focus on eating lots and training hard, the big basics. And this is something that it's not that I ignored, but I would definitely really remind my younger self of that. And it's something that I talk to a lot of younger people about, that, and I think a lot of it has to do with the image that we try to uphold for social media. When it comes to a certain leanness, you want to look good for all your photos and for Instagram, and it's kind of a meme in the bodybuilding world, but it's very true, and I see it affect people around me, people that on social media that try to maintain or achieve a certain look, and their physiques never change, right? They don't give themselves time to grow. So for my younger self, I would have reminded them to not overcomplicate things, just commit to building muscle. And especially in those early years, those are, potentially some of your most fruitful years from a development standpoint. So just get the food in, lift heavy, from a supplement standpoint, they're not the be all end all. Don't fall for all the things that you've seen in the magazines. At the time, magazines were kind of the primary source of information when I was a kid. And I sound old saying that. And like all the ads that you would see, with the big guys that, 10 pounds of muscle in 10 days and all that shit. And, I was young and naive, and, at the end of the day, I wanted it. So I took, basically any supplement that I could, obviously, that, they're all natural and stuff like that. But the claims that they make are very, very, very untrue, which is unfortunate. Stick with the basics when it comes to supplements, like a good protein powder, creatine, and then, you can look at like vitamins and stuff like that to add in there. But, I think for 99% of young lifters, if you just took protein and creatine and then ate really good and trained hard for 4 or 5 years, you'd probably make a very, very significant amount of progress. Point number 3 is going after strength. I think there's all these camps of ways of lifting and what's good and what's bad and how you should train, how you shouldn't train, and getting stronger will undoubtedly aid you in building muscle, right? And I'm not talking about like 1 rep max strength. I mean like, getting stronger for 5 to 8 reps, getting stronger 10 to 12 reps, getting stronger for 20 reps, right? Like if you can take all those rep ranges and progress them year after year after year and get stronger at them, you will undoubtedly build muscle. Like imagine you take your bench press from 315 for 5 to 315 for 10. And at the same time, you take your incline dumbbell press from 70s for 10 to 100 for 12. That is going to build muscle, right? And they're different exercises, different rep ranges, but at the end of the day, you're chasing strength and your body is going to grow accordingly. Don't fall for all the buzz programming like, FST7 or German volume training or whatever the biggest and newest training method is that's going to guarantee you muscle growth, untapped muscle growth. That stuff is all very, very much blown out of proportion. And again, it's easy to fall for. It's like the supplements, right? Especially when you're younger, you want those quick fixes, you want those guaranteed results. And at the end of the day, I'm a believer in the basics done well and done for a long time. And I think my training and a lot of people's training can speak to the results that they do get you. And the last point I want to touch on is, documenting and journaling your progress. I think this is something that is extremely beneficial because it's so easy to get caught up in what everybody else is doing and the results they're getting and the lifts that they lift and the physique that they post and all this kind of stuff, and you can kind of ignore your personal progress. And that's why I'm such a fan of journaling and having a training log and documenting your progress, right? And this goes beyond even just training, but just jotting things down and getting your thoughts on paper. I'm literally looking at a note from January 24th, 10 weeks out today in this journal, and it says, today's check-in was exciting. I am arriving. I know I have leveled up. And having those to look back on, I think is pretty cool. So don't be afraid to be that guy that goes in the gym with a notepad or with a notebook, because you're gonna learn. You're going to examine the process for you even more. You're gonna obviously see the progress you're making if you can see those numbers progress over time, and it's very motivating, right? And can keep you on track and in this game for the long haul. So those are just kind of 4 things I want to touch on, guys, with regards to what I would tell my younger self. I hope you got some, I guess, interesting little tidbits from this, and maybe comment below things that you'd tell your younger self when you first got into whether it's competing or whether you first got into the gym or the fitness industry as a whole, because I'd be interested to hear the things you'd share and maybe the lessons you'd tell your younger self. So that's going to end it for this video, guys. Again, 9 weeks out tomorrow. We're getting there. We're fired up. We're ready to go. I got to get some food in me, get the day started. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one.